So we're taking a look at California a little bit earlier, and now let's head across the country and let's go to Florida. And this is something, Adam, that, you know, it is, we've been talking about this for months and months and months and months. On, off, on, off. Will they turn it on again? Will they turn it off again? What happened? What is the risk of turning it on to have to turn it back off, et cetera, et cetera? We've been juggling all of this for a while now. Well, it looks like we have at least some sort of understanding as to the plan for the rollout.
Press release this morning from the Seminole Tribe that comes in the wake of the Supreme Court denying a stay of a mandate from a lower court that was favoring the compact signed between the Seminole Tribe and Governor Ron DeSantis that is going to allow them to start offering roulette, to start offering craps, and to start offering in-person sports betting in December at 6 Seminole properties in the state of Florida. Now, the natural question that everyone in our sphere is going to ask is, but what about online? When are we getting online sports betting back? That is something that is still in limbo. Not quite yet. The Seminole spokesperson we contacted said this news is just about in-person sports betting. Yes, yeah, we saw that. That's why we asked. But what we see now is that you're getting to the point where you get the clear message. Gaming is what matters most here, right? The release said roulette, craps, and sports betting, right? It was kind of listed as an afterthought when it came to the in-person sports betting. Now, it might not necessarily be a drop in the bucket. Our Eric Ramsey, our revenue analyst, believes that you're going to see some pretty significant betting when it comes to in-person in Florida. But we do have one industry source talking to our Mike Mazzio who said expect that the Hard Rock Bet app should launch sometime this month. And so we're expecting a November launch one way or another for the Hard Rock Bet app that essentially for a couple of years ago was just in Florida for the better part of a month plus before having to shut down.
Yeah, and if people are wondering why you would say, oh, they're also offering craps and they're also offering roulette, it's because if you guys have never been to Florida, never been to a Florida casino, it's card games only. So if you go to the gaming floor, it is a bunch of card games out there, but they do not have the like you just mentioned, the craps and the roulette. So getting the addition of that, obviously a big thing. I tend to agree with Eric as well. Adam, I've been to all of the casinos down there in Florida, one way, shape, or form, whether it be there was an MMA event there, or whether it was just me going to play some poker tournament, whatever it might be. Those things are slammed like all the time. I mean, like those things are rocking and rolling like all the time. And so, yeah, it's going to be much, much bigger if you have an app and online presence, don't get me wrong, but just to go back to thinking that there will still be decent over-the-counter stuff, like there's a lot of foot traffic in those casinos at all times, and so you have to assume just with the foot traffic that's already there, and then what little bit it might add to it to get people to come up there and make some bets as well. Like I imagine it'll do pretty decent numbers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And if you're wondering why we don't necessarily have news about Hard Rock Bet and why we would get the news that in-person could be launching even after we have word that the online might come back, keep in mind that there is now going to be a state case. There was a federal case that was governing all of this when it came to the last 2 years of Florida sports betting being shut down. And in that case, essentially what they ultimately said was, yeah, we can't do anything about this at the federal level, but it might be something that you litigate at the state level. And there was something in the Supreme Court ruling that came down most recently from Brett Kavanaugh, who is one of the 9 Supreme Court justices, that kind of set up something that our John Holden has been talking about, which has been that there could be a challenge to the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, to IGRA, when it comes to whether gaming off of tribal lands, which of course is necessary to facilitate an online sports betting app where the servers are deemed to be the location of the bet. If for that to be the case, then you have to have the interpretation of IGRA that would allow the belief that those bets are being placed on the server, on the reservation. So we shall see if that ultimately gets challenged, but it certainly did seem that Kavanaugh was leaving the door open for a federal challenge to IGRA in addition to whatever is going on in the state of Florida directly.